Zoom meeting?
Sorry.
Okay.
We're recording.
Okay, so on the agenda today, review of the minutes of the last meeting, which has been quite a while. It was April.
Motion to accept.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so the minutes of the meeting are approved.
And who was it? I'm sorry. Who was it that made the motion? If you guys could just say your names, please, because
John Higgins. I made the motion.
It was John.
Cammy seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Hang on a minute, Karen. Tom, can you unmute yourself? Can you wave your hand if you hear us? Tom Casey?
Yeah, I said aye.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it. But
I have some background noise in my office here. I didn't want to have it disrupt anybody, but I'll unmute when I need to.
okay.
Okay, so DCP Investigation Division Complaint Status Report and Review of Complaints. Janita, you're handling that?
Yeah, so Pamela Brown and Janita Hamill are from Investigations. Janita will report out.
Okay. Morning, Pamela.
Good morning.
All right, good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, the report that you all received is from May 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021. Are there any questions on the report?
Since I just got it this morning and I was running a little late, pretty much looks like they're all closed out.
Yep, we have, we had a total of 18 cases during that time frame, 10 of which we received are open and 8 are closed, and the assurances of voluntary compliance brought in $18,000, sir.
Okay, well, it's nice that we're trying to keep everybody on the same level playing field. Any board members have any questions about this?
Janita, it's Tom Casey. It seems like a good thing that the file is getting smaller each meeting. Are you seeing the same thing?
Let me put it this way, it depends. It seems like you and the plumbing board and the electrical board take turns during each 2-month period, which ones we receive more complaints about which trade, occupation. So no, the overall amount of complaints stays steady.
I also add to that it depends on the site inspections as well, what you see when you're out.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions as to what's going on the enforcement?
I have nothing.
All right, so that would be good.
Mr. Chairman, if I might have a minute, please, sir.
Yes, Janita.
Could you all, tell your people when they're filing a complaint that if it's anonymous, there's no name, we don't know who it is, so we can't discuss whether there's a name on the file or not. Any open complaints under investigation, and if they are the anonymous person, they're going to be expected to send a notarized letter that says, "Dear DCP, I am the anonymous complainant against blah, blah, blah contractor." And they put their name, their address, their phone number, their real ID on there. The other thing that's happened recently is people who are not the complainant might have an idea of talk to a friend or something and know there's a complaint, but because their name John Smith is not on the complaint, and it's Bob Barrio, and he wants to know about the John Smith investigation of the complaint, we have to tell you, I'm sorry, sir, your name is not on the complaint, and we can't discuss it with you. It's open and under investigation. So if you wouldn't mind kind of putting that information out to everybody, you know, we'll do the anonymous complaints, we'll investigate, but if you're the complainant and you put your name on there, you're the person we're going to come to for additional evidence, additional information. And unfortunately, the other thing that's happened recently too is somebody made up a name and an address, and my investigator and my inspector and the inspection aide and I'm telling them, go out to this person, get this information, and the person doesn't exist. So it makes it harder for us to do our investigation. So if you're the complainant, please put your name on it. If you don't want to put your name on it, that's okay. Click anonymous, but just know we're going to go through with the investigation from start to finish with what we have. But if you're putting a name on there, please ask your people to put their name on there. Okay?
All right, so that's just the ability to find out more information and have someone as a point of a contact, correct?
Right, because if their person's named on the complaint and we do our investigation, you know, it's entirely possible that they might be needed to testify at the hearing. And if you made up a name, it's kind of hard to get a bogus person to come to the hearing.
Are you getting many of those, Janita?
Bob, it seems like in the past couple of months, it's happened. And that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up, because it's happened like 3 or 4 times. So, you know, I just figured I would throw it out there just as a general, you know, we will go from start to finish with whatever complaint we get in whatever format, whether you sign your name or you're anonymous. But it makes it harder when mail gets kicked back because the person doesn't exist at that address.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Janita. Appreciate that. Those are the unintended consequences of our actions sometimes, and we don't know what the problems are downstream for you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
All right. So we did the investigation of the complaint status report. Old business, occupational licensing board renewal form statement. And this came from you, Richard, or just how did this generate?
Yeah, every year there's a little space on the renewal forms. So the suggestion was for this year for the other boards, and they agreed to add this verbiage to use up that blank space. How much it helps, we don't know, but at least it's something to put in there, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree, because as the working group goes through all of this stuff, it's like, oh boy, what else are we going to do now, you know?
Right.
It is what it is.
So when each board, I mean, this needs to go over to Michael Elliott so he can get it on the renewal form, which they might have started going out, but I'm not sure whether it's this week or next.
Yeah. Okay. No, any members on the board have concerns about this?
Okay with it.
Thank you, John. I am too. Tom?
Is it just to justify somebody's job to keep adding verbiage, or is this solving a problem?
Well, we could...
Oh, no. The renewal forms go out electronically and also in paper form. And there's a blank space on the renewal form. So we one time we did about supervising apprentices on the work site. You know, a little language about that.
Oh.
And this time we thought we'd do this language.
So it just really kind of appears as a reminder, right? Like, hey, everybody, this is what you've already agreed to. When you renew, just reminding you that it's still the case.
Correct.
All right, got it.
And we'll go over that in a little bit with the working group. Morning, David. You're unmuted, so just acknowledge you're here.
I'm here, Bob.
I just saw you. Thank you. Karen wants to keep track, you know. We want to make sure you get your travel allowances.
Yeah.
Sorry about my tardiness.
Oh, that's all right, David. We know you're busy.
Did you hear about Ed Ryan?
No.
I was on the phone with Chris. He passed away yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unexpected. So anyway, that's where I was.
No problem. Okay, so we got the old business about the statement, which I think is good. Anybody else have any issues? Cammie, did you have any issue or questions about that?
No, that's fine with me.
Okay. Application working review group. I have to tell you that it is quite interesting when I get these applications. And I don't know if you guys can see, but am I on the screen, Karen, or not?
Are you on the screen?
Yeah, it looks like I'm mute or out of the thing. But anyhow, I'm holding up. You guys
we can't see you're holding up though. We can only hear you.
I'm not on the screen. All right. Well, anyhow, I'm holding up about an 1.5 inch thick file of applications. We're getting an awful lot of interesting applications coming from a lot of people. You know, we get a 2-page application, which is really quite easy because they have a plumbing license and they want a heating license, and that's it. Those get rejected. We're getting out-of-state licenses that are coming in, and Karen has put together a list here. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's about matching licenses. We've been trying to refine it and work on it. And Karen has done diligent. Richard has given us an awful lot of input. And it kind of makes the review process a little bit easier. We also get Todd Birch's input, and it's been very valuable as well. But there are an awful lot of applications coming in, and some have good credentials, some don't. They think they can take online courses, no apprenticeship or whatever, you know. So it's interesting. And we do get a few people who will berate Karen and go on and on and on. And it's, you know, the same guy for 4 or 5 months will send in 25, 30 pages of certificates, and he wants a license. So we've had to wean him back quite a bit. We've had a fair amount, Cammie, of some union guys coming out of New York with application requests, you know, but they've completed the locals journeyman, which if it's the same thing nationwide, we can't discriminate against them because of that. Have you seen the requirements on some of those, Cammie, at all?
I saw, you're talking about the ones you sent? Or the ones that they're taking in another area?
No, it's not a different area. It's like, we'll get a local out of New York and they'll send in a couple of applicants for guys that have a job or something over the line in Connecticut and they want to get a Connecticut license.
Well, if they've gone through if they've actually gone through the UA apprentice, just because they're a member of that union doesn't mean they went through an apprenticeship.
Correct.
So you have to gauge that, and I think John would have more information on that than me right now.
John, what are your thoughts on something like that?
I'm sorry, it kind of broke up. Could you repeat what the question was on my end?
We're getting applications from New York, and they're members of local unions, and we're getting completion certificate, or we're getting a letter from the union hierarchy saying that this guy has done this and this guy has done that. So we're basing on it. Of course, we will also get a few guys that will have just a refrigeration license, not an S license.
Well, I mean, typically, if it's a UA local that's sending the certificate of completion, like Local 21, which is across the border, pretty much the UA standards for training are, you know, a little different from location to location, but they're, you know, all 5-year apprenticeships. So I don't see that as a problem. I don't know what local you're referring to that they're attached to.
Yeah, Local 21 was definitely one of them.
What's that?
Local 21 was definitely some of the individuals that completed an apprenticeship program.
Right. So if they have that, that's basically the equivalent to what we do here on our side. So I don't really have an issue with that. But if it's like the operating engineers, which are more of like a stationary engineer, not an installer, that would be something different. That's like Local 30, I think.
Right. We have OE, they get the OE2 license for operating.
Okay, that would be appropriate. Yep.
Yeah, so we're Karen has done a pretty good job trying to help us out, and I don't know if you guys have her Tuesday, July 20th email about similar licenses that reflect Connecticut's license. You guys have that paper by chance?
Yes, I do.
And just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with that, because these applications you're not necessarily seeing. Karen, Todd, Richard, and myself are looking at them.
We've always agreed there was somewhat of a parallel, especially with Rhode Island and Massachusetts, to, you know, that we can line them up with ours. New York was the wild card because county by county, they seem to be different. But
yeah, we've been very careful on that. Yep.
Yeah, we've gotten information from the local counties, and Karen has put together a little bit of a spreadsheet to try. And when we get to the board meeting, we'll get an issue, what the problem is, you know, like we'll get something with a no Connecticut DOL letter, or he has no Connecticut DOL, but he has a D2 and a Mass license, you know, so we'll branch this out. But guys do really try to upgrade their licenses to the S2 categories, and you weigh it out.
Yeah, you're reviewing all those, Bob, right? You and Cammy, the working group there?
Yeah, it's Richard, Hurlburt, Todd Birch, Karen, and myself. Yeah, as long as you're seeing the equivalent licenses, we've always done that. So if you're reviewing it and you're okay with it. Yeah, I looked at them all, but I don't see why not. Okay, just
yeah. Some of the individuals, like Rhode Island, they don't. We have the B2 oil burner license, which in Connecticut is actually oil and gas burner. So then we make sure that the individual from Rhode Island has both a gas license and their oil license, because they have them separated. And we do the same for Massachusetts. And then and there's a couple other spots where, well, if someone has the pipe fitter license in Massachusetts, which is equivalent to our S4, if they want to get the S2, we make sure they have the Massachusetts refrigeration license, because that's separate. So they have to have a couple of licenses in Mass to get our S2. Those are the types of things we're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we used to deal with before. So it's in good hands. You're doing a good job. I got all the faith in you.
Oh, gee, thank you for your support. Okay. That being said, now on a similar issue on the third page, have I covered everything here? Update, review of occupational licensing. Okay, I think we're all right there. So the board is comfortable with that. And we've got a guy that has sent in an application, a fellow by the name of John Gasaldi. He's a B2 license holder, and he was going to appear, but he decided he was against it. So I got it, and I took a look at it. I figured, you know, the guy sent, I don't know, 30 pages of stuff, a lot of it fluff. So he applied for, I believe originally he wanted an S10 or I'm sorry, an S2, but we didn't do it. And back in 2008 at a November 20th meeting, we approved him for an S10. He has 8,000 hours of oil burner certification, okay? Guy's name is John Gasaldi. But he has a certificate of completion from DOL, Home Oil Company, oil burner service, 8,000 hours. So I don't know how that happened. And that was dated in 1981. So he got his B2 and then he wanted to get upgrade. And so in 2008, we approved him for the S10. And then we also approved him again, I believe, was it 19, Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And just, you know, he didn't submit an application this time. He didn't want to do that and pay the fee to submit a new application. He would like information without submitting the application. But yes, he's been approved for the S10 twice.
Okay. So he has been approved since 2008 and again in 2019, but he's never taken the S10 exam. So he sent an email in, and Todd, did you remember this fellow?
Yeah, something doesn't sit right with me, especially on his completion certificate. There's no way that that's an 8,000 hour certificate. There's no way.
All right, who's got
but he is approved for the S10, which is identical to the S2 if he just reads the facts and accept the amount of BTUs and the tonnage of coolant is lower. And probably for what he does, he doesn't realize it. It probably will cover anything he ever encounters. So, you know, I don't know why we're even dealing with him. He's been denied the S2. He's approved for the S10. And if he wants the S2, he's got to re-enter the apprenticeship program.
Exactly where I was trying to get to. I just want the board to be aware of this guy because, you know, with 8,000 hours, Todd, like you said, I don't recall ever seeing one like that. And it may have been accurate and I don't know. But according to his email on Tuesday, June 8th of 2021, he spoke with Todd Birch of the Office of Apprenticeship Training this morning. He said he wanted me to go before the board only for the apprenticeship hours to be approved, not to discuss taking the S2 exam because I will be attending school. After successfully completing school, then I will need to apply for the S2 license exam. At your convenience, please give me a call so I can discuss that conversation I had with Todd. So I just want to bring this to the board because he was supposed to be here and just make sure the board is comfortable with my personal opinion here is that he has been approved for the S10. And when he takes that, that's fine. If he decides he would like to go for the S2, he will have to take schooling to get to that next point, as well as get registered as an S2 apprenticeship for 1 year. So putting that out there, and I don't know if you guys have all of that paperwork or if you're interested, but I would appreciate your inputs.
Do you think his on-the-job training that he put in there for would entitle him to an S2? I mean, it was saying all oil burner service.
That's where there's something that has fallen through the cracks. We don't quite know what it is. The guy has been in the trade for quite a while. And I think the board in 2008 felt he had demonstrated enough information that he should be qualified to sit for the S10. But I'm not going anywhere past that until he sits and passes the S10. That's my opinion. And you guys, you know, he has not sent a formal application. I just want to have a discussion and saying, you know, when he does or wants to get into the meeting, he's got to sit for the S10 and we're not going to approve him for the S2 at this time. Who's got the glass?
Yeah, I just don't see a way for him to get to the S2, but you know, that's down the road. So,
but I think Bob said in order for him to get to the S2, he has an option right now. He could get the S10 and be happy with it, or he could, or he can also get re-registered as an S2 apprentice, get additional on-the-job training and the school-related instruction he's missing, and then Todd Burch's group will sign him off once he does that for the S2 apprenticeship completion. So, I mean, he's approved for the S10. He can get that. And if he wants to, he can still get registered as an S2 apprentice upgrade by taking additional courses and acquiring hands-on experience under an S1 contractor. So, I don't know why the guy wouldn't be happy.
Richard, let me ask you a question on this.
You're on there, your voice is, there's an echo there. So you're in two squares.
You wait a minute, hold on.
His S10 is the right license. He hasn't taken it for 13 years. So he's not like going to be a ball of fire to get to his S2. All of the letters of experience are from residential oil companies. He's not working on S2 stuff. And so I agree with Richard. He's S10 is his right license, and when he needs to do anything that he's going to be working on, and then he's got to formally go to the S2. No, like bypass, go, do not collect $500 things. He's got to do the work.
You need a motion, Bob?
Well, I just want to have. He has not submitted an application. I just want to have a discussion about it. Because some of these guys, when they contact DCP, they are not really very kind and they're tired of the bureaucracy. So that being said, he has been approved, and Karen, he does have a valid approval for the S10 at this time?
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Okay. So just to make sure that there's a discussion, you guys have been filled in on the background, because I have a hunch he'll come back again. So when you get the S10, you talk to us. Other than that, no, we're not doing anything.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, just turn your volume down a little bit, because you're on two medias, computer or the phone, Cammy.
I got trying to get my computer going.
So we have a phone number here. I'm not sure if it's his. We have 860-563-1912, and that may be Cammy. And then we have them also on our screen twice.
That's not my phone.
No, it isn't. Okay.
But what I wanted to ask Richard was, remember Richard, there was a guy that came in, put a complaint against an oil company. And then he was going to accept $100,000 or something to not come to the board. Wasn't his name Griswaldi?
Yeah, I don't know. You might be right, Tammy. Yeah, there was something there.
Just it has nothing to do with the application if he's qualified, but just as the type of person he is, I thought I'd throw that in.
No, Cammy, you got a pretty good memory.
Sometimes.
All right, so just heads up, that's all I'm trying to do, because as we go through the applications, you see people just trying to skirt around the edges a little bit, you know? So.
Yes.
Hey, Bob, tell them that the board is thinking about reviewing his S10 application and denying it if he doesn't take it.
Yeah.
You can't help stupid sometimes. Take the damn license, and that's all you're gonna get. You're lucky to get it. I don't know why we.
His S10 application, if it's that old, probably is expired for the testing link due to COVID. So he's gonna have to reapply anyways. Just FYI.
He is gonna have to reapply. He is.
But he's always approved. Once you're
to.
approved, you're always approved. So you know that's internal to get him back in the system. But
right, because
this is the guy who doesn't want to pay $150 though. Come on, he's gonna.
Well, he's actually had to pay it in and it lapsed twice. One was in 2018. One was, I'm sorry, 2008. And then I think the other one was 2019.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Take the test, dumbass.
Yeah, I know, but that's the way people go sometimes.
Yeah, he ain't gonna get his S2.
Well, not without taking classes and getting registered under an S1 contractor.
He's not doing S2 work though.
Well,
No,
you get registered, you can't deny it.
Yeah, that's true.
As long as you're registered. So, okay.
Don't hold your breath, Dave.
Okay, so on to page 3, item 3, substitute House Bill 6100.
Yeah, so you go to section 23. And I think I did the email.
Yeah.
Yeah, the email, I cut out the sections for you guys.
June 23rd, Richard sent an email. Did you guys happen to see that?
It's in the email that Karen sent with all the related documents for today's meeting.
Anybody have a copy of that in front of them? David, you have a perplexed look on your face. And don't use any words you're not supposed to.
Well, he's muted, so maybe, yeah.
Now he's smirking.
I was trying to get it up, so I always go on mute so you don't have to hear my background noise. But I got it right here, so we're good. Rich, is this the one I talked to you or emailed you about?
Yeah, yes, it is.
So how does it affect our licenses as a heating and air conditioning?
Well, it basically says that like it says on section 23, no contract to perform work on a private residence, okay, is legal unless it's in writing. So no contract being that point blank includes verbal contracts. So the only way for private residents to have a valid contract is to have it in writing and have the owner sign it and have it contain the entire agreement, contains the date of the transaction, contains the name and address of the contractor, the contractor's license number, and then also you have to contain the name of the people who are going to be doing the work that are licensed, and if you decide to change anything on that contract, that's got to be in writing as well. And then the kicker is it's got to have the owner's cancellation right. So you can't do any residential work unless you put in there a 3A right to cancel clause. So the problem I see, and I put it way down below because California had to address the same issue, is what do you do when someone has a no heat situation or wants their air conditioner changed right away because they got company coming or whatever, and you got to tell them, what, we got to wait 3 days?
Yeah, we have that issue all the time. You know.
So I brought it before Leslie O'Brien and legal division and the other boards are looking into it, even the elevator board, because they're saying, wait a minute, we're going to have people, they can't use a elevator and they have disabilities, and they're not going to wait 3 days if they're in a wheelchair or whatever and need to have it. So So I don't know. Legal division seems to say, "Oh no, it's fine. You'll be fine." I go, but we have an attorney on the elevator board who's with a law firm right in Hartford, and he said, "Yeah, until you go to collect your money, and you go to a judge, and your judge is going to say no contract is valid unless it's in writing and has 3A right to cancel requirement." He says that no attorney can even bring this to court because the judge is going to look at it that plainly and say, "No, you don't get paid."
Yeah, that is an issue because we have, I mean, of course, air conditioning is not an emergency except for the customer because it's worse than losing their heating. But we can freeze houses up in the winter, and you know, a boiler lets go on a Friday, and we've got to change it right then and there. I mean, I don't even have a contract signed, and they need heat. They agree on a price because we'll give them a price, but to have that 3-day thing, you know, they'll freeze their house up.
Richard, I believe that there is a right that they can rescind the 3-day agreement and you have it in your contract. That can be done. However, I really think that this is a huge can of worms. And I don't know how we missed this and how this got through, but I don't recall being on the board ever seeing this. Does anybody recall seeing this?
Nope.
No, it didn't come up. I didn't find out about it either until all of a sudden this public act passed. You know, the bill passed.
Isn't it something that came out of DCP too?
Yeah, it was in DCP's package, which was let me go back here. So it was House Bill number 6100 was all of DCP's technical changes, etc. And someone stuck it in there. One of our attorneys stuck it in there because she was asked to draft something, and it went through, and it was added to it, along with trying to make changing water meters not requiring a license, which got stripped out. But this did not get stripped out.
This can't work just because, say you have a right to rescind in an emergency. So I think we all have a 3-day right of rescission waiver when I have no heat or no hot water or something. I need something done right now. The issue that I see that's absolutely impossible to comply with for anybody who's not like a solopreneur is I will never know, my project managers will never know the license numbers of who's going to do the work when they sell the job. So to contain the cruise license numbers, which I think is on 0.6 of that, contains the license names and license numbers. Even if I assign Dave Foster, then the morning things shuffle around, I'm going to switch it. I can't possibly say contractually, here's the person who's going to do your job. So this is not like, it's one of those, we're here from the government, we're here to help. So it's impossible to comply with. There's no way. The 3-day right is the easiest part to comply with. You're not going to comply with all these other things. Just not going to happen. So this is written by a lawyer. So maybe the lawyer knows who's going to be assigned when they sign a contract. But in the home services industry, I'm guilty. Give me, tell me what I got to do. I can't possibly comply.
Well, it comes down, they don't have to pay you, Tom. Then it's too late. This is not a well thought out situation. This is something that's going to have to be addressed. So
my suggestion is we invite Leslie O'Brien to our next meeting.
All right, let's put that on the agenda, Karen.
Okay.
And that's what the elevator board is doing too, because they also have reviewed this so far.
Well, when is our next meeting with the commissioner? It might be better for the board chairmen to handle this with the commissioner, Richard.
Well, that would be good too. I don't know when that is, but Alan DeMita would know. That would be really good.
And what's constituted as contract for work? Now we're talking like installation, which is the 3-day waiver. But if you go on a service call, you need to change a blower motor. Does that constitute work?
Well, that's the issue. That's really the primary issue. And if you read that document email that I created, you can see how California had put in theirs that you're exempt if it's needed right away, etc.
I
Hey,
think
Rich,
the
what's
suggestion.
the Lumberjack number?
Because we're talking over a little bit, we should probably, again, this is Bob, acknowledge who we are, because John, I'm not sure if you wanted to speak or Cammie wanted to speak. So Cammie, I will defer to you because you're the elder statesman. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Let John talk. He's more involved than I am.
I got nothing really on this bill. This seems more like a contractor kind of problem to me.
Well, it may come into you too, if you carefully, because you're going to find there's a plethora of attorneys out there. So you never know, you know. And again, you know, with you guys, how do you list all of the license holders?
And John, you might have people calling in sick. Guys you're doing a multi-day job. How are you going to know who's on it ahead of time?
True.
I mean, this is unintended consequences of somebody's action. So, again, I think that, Richard, if we could check with Alan and maybe put this on the agenda so it doesn't slip through the cracks, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, the MOU board meeting.
Yeah, and I don't know when the next one is yet.
All right, I'll email her and find out what's going on.
And Cammie, you were going to say something?
I said, I think the suggestion at one time was to put in there excluding emergency work or something similar to that. I guess it never got in.
Okay. Well,
I think that would, you tell me, I think that would cover most of the situations. Whether it's air conditioning or heating, it's an emergency if somebody has a health issue and their air conditioning goes out when it's 90 degrees, 95 degrees with high humidity, that's an emergency for them.
Yeah. What Tom said is the 3-day rescinding period could be waived. It's who's doing the job, because they want the license number and the names of each individual doing the work. And that can change, you know, during the course of the day and or the night before. So that's a big problem.
Yeah.
I see the waiver being able to be, you know, worked around. So like on a service call process, we go out and before we begin work, Cammie, the customer signs an authorization. So we have a verbal, you know, agreement at the door. We're going to dispatch via this. We're going to do this, this, and this. Sign here to authorize me to get started. We go do the diagnostic. We come back and we now have diagnosed the issue. We have options for them. We present the options. Sign here which ones you want to do, which ones you don't want to do. Authorization before we get started. Then we do the work and it's signed again. So we get 3 signatures on every service call. So we can easily incorporate a waiver that said, you know, you're agreeing this is an emergency, you're agreeing I'm gonna do it, and you're giving up your 3-day. Installation is similar where they can sign that away if they want to. I just don't see a practical way of saying who's coming back to do the work, and that doesn't change, who goes home sick. So now if I say Dave Foster, here's his license number, then Dave has to go home for a family emergency, I no longer have a contract. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. That's the part I think it's impossible to comply with, is saying who it's going to be before it's happening. And I don't understand what that has to do with, you know, what they're protecting with that either. It doesn't make sense to me.
I agree. I don't know why they have to have the names anyway, as long as the person holds a license. Well, listen, you know a lot more about this than me. I was just throwing out a suggestion, but whatever would cover it under these circumstances, that should be what we all should be pushing for.
Are you, it's Bob again, are you gentlemen comfortable that we would also try at our next meeting to have Leslie appear and we can discuss this with the commissioner? Is that all right?
I think it's sooner the better, Bob.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Every trade has a problem with this, right, Richard? Every trade's going to say.
Yeah, any of the occupations in Chapter 393.
Yeah. So
Bob, this is Todd. What's the public act number or the bill number again?
6100, House Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Public Act 21-37. Okay. So, any comments or concerns of any persons present today?
We do have somebody that has been as an attendee. The phone number is 860-563-1912. Did you want to address that person and see who that might be, or?
Can they raise their hand if they want to speak? I guess not. Okay.
And when we're not virtual, we usually have a sign-in sheet for anyone that is just there to observe. We have their name.
Right, and that's why it's difficult in this setting, because I'm seeing a phone number and it's not coming up as a name.
Perhaps they would give us their name, whoever it is.
Right, and they have the opportunity to speak at this moment. Can you hear us? I'm not hearing anything, so I'm not sure.
All right. Well, any comments from the board members?
Are there any plans to go back to live meetings?
Well, we're only back in the office 50% right now, so we won't know. Maybe by September we'll know more.
Okay.
I have just for information for the board. As I think Richard mentioned, also in this bill, originally there was a bill to have water meters installed by unlicensed people, or not to replace, I should say replace the water meters by unlicensed people. And we've been going through this back and forth. And I just want everyone to know that I don't care what it is. If I do have, and Richard, you know this because I talked to you about it, and there's a letter that I have from legal saying that it is a licensable item. I'm supposed to meet with some of these water companies and talk over, what they want to do. And here's the situation right now. East Line has 6,000 water meters that they want to upgrade to, I guess it's electronic or whatever for reading the meter. And they want to hire a company from Pennsylvania to come in and do this work with unlicensed people. And I'm vehemently opposed to anything that is under our licenses to be able to have somebody come, no matter who it is, whether it's here or anywhere else, to come here and do it without a proper license. So just so the board knows, this could be a snowball effect, in my opinion. Next time, maybe they'll say, you know what, why don't we, it's only a boiler we replace and it's simple. So, you could just shut off a couple of valves and put the boiler in. I mean, where do we stop if we let this go? So I just want you to know that I've been involved. I'm trying to get some other people involved with it. Does anybody on the board think there should be any exceptions?
No.
No, the accountability is because the law, what we read before, it's a Class B felony. If the guy from Pennsylvania says, sue me in Pennsylvania, go screw, but there's no permanent consequence. They can go to those homeowners or those water meters, completely botch the job, cost those consumers more money, cause property damage, whatever, and then there's no consequence. So licensing is about accountability. So I would agree with you, Cammie. This is when you give the crack in that door, they're going to barge through the door, and it's going to just be, you can't put genie back in the bottle.
I agree 100%. That's what I'll be looking for, but I just want the board to know what's happening, even though it's not under our jurisdiction, it's under the plumbing board. I just want everybody to know what they're looking to do. And it's more than one, one city that wants to do it. So
no, they have to have a license inside the building. You know, like in Connecticut here, because I'm a plumber as well. You know, we go to the curb box. That's it. And
right.
Curb box is, if we change the water service, that's inspected by MDC. But once you go inside, you can't touch it. And believe me, I've gone in on some, and you go to shut the thing on down, and neither valve holds. And then what do you do, Wally?
Right.
So it's a license.
For information, I wanted everyone to know what's going on, and maybe when you talk to Chuck Appleby, the chairman of the plumbing board, you can give him your opinion also.
I will try to do that, but I will try to make sure I got at least half a day. Why is everybody smiling here? You too, Karen. Okay. I'm out of humor. Anybody else have any questions, issues, 2 cents to put in?
Yeah, did you finally retire or are you still working?
I'm in my office. I'm winding down, Dave, a little bit, but it's there's an awful lot to do. It's they're not even out of the building yet, and they were supposed to be out June 30th. So
Okay.
yeah, it's like a never-ending cold. We're getting there. Thank you all so much. Appreciate everything, and let me know, Richard, if that's going to show up at the next meeting with the commissioner. 100. Okay.
Yeah, Bob, I was just thinking. I'm going to ask her to make it a separate meeting on this specific issue, so we can maybe have it quicker than waiting for a quarterly meeting.
That would be helpful, really helpful, because I think this is going to be, all of the trades are going to be concerned.
Yeah, so we have electrical, elevator, heating, plumbing. I suppose the glass people too, because if someone has a blown out window in their house in the wintertime, the glazier needs to get there right away.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
possibly sprinkler. There are some homes with sprinklers in them.
It's going to affect everybody. I don't care. I really don't. You know,
all right.
Commercial and residential. All right. To all, be safe. Stay in touch. Okay.
All right.
Hey, everybody.